These are the grounds of Strachur House in the middle of Strachur, midway between Dunoon and Inverary in Argyll, one of the hidden gems of the area. Later on we'll be looking at the new Shinty and community facility at Strachur Moor, just a few miles down the road. First of all, however, let's go to speak to Sir Charles MacLean, who is the son of the late Sir Fitzroy MacLean, who owned Strachur House. Sir Charles MacLean, standing here in the grounds of Strachur House and the Shinty pitch on one side, the big house on the other, it's a wonderfully evocative part of Argyll, this, but your own family links with Shinty go back much further than just what's happened here.
Well, they do indeed, but on my mother's side, she was a Fraser, Lovat Fraser, and her father was the 14th Lord Lovat, who was an outstanding Shinty player in his day, but was also involved in the business of setting up the Camanachd Association. He was indeed the first president, and helped establish the rules of the game, or at least to write them down. He was so Shinty was certainly in my mother's life, and when we came here, she was more than delighted. We came here in 1957. She was more than delighted that the game was so much part of the community here, and I'm surprised. She did occasionally get out there with a stick, but she was definitely a keen supporter of the club, as was my father, who was the president of the Strachur Shinty Club for many years. So it's been a great thing to have had it here on the park, and although we're delighted by the new Shinty field, it's a sadness in a way that it's leaving the front of the house here.
Now, your father, obviously, Sir Fitzroy MacLean, Strachur, synonymous in terms of everything that's going on in Argyll, and indeed in a much wider plane because of the type of character he was.
Yes.
Was he interested in Shinty? Did he play?
He wasn't a sporting guy, actually. I mean, he didn't shoot. He didn't play. He really didn't play sport at all. He briefly golfed. And we had to, as young children, had to caddy for him, and that was extremely painful business, and carrying clubs at 7 or dragging them around, and it sort of turned me off golf a little bit. But he was a keen supporter of Shinty, and as I said, he was president of the Strachur Shinty Club, and also we had many occasions here where Shinty was, as it were, presented to. Or introduced to, or rather the other way around, we were introducing quite well-known figures to the game of Shinty. And they included such luminaries as the King of Nepal and indeed a Russian Prime Minister. There were others. I'm not absolutely sure, but I think Princess Margaret would have also witnessed a game here, and so it was quite a kind of, well, as I said, part of everyone's life here at Strachur House, as well as, you know, in the community itself.
The whole new pitch, the community centre aspect of this, that must have been a huge challenge for a really quite a small place in terms of Argyll and the village and the area round about. How much of a challenge was it to pull all that together?
Oh, it was you know, absolutely a horrific thing to get involved in, right from the word go. And it's taken us since 2002. So we've been 10 years at the job. I mean, while I appear here on the bridge, as you might say, there was a very hard-working crew down there in the galley, you know, some of them in the galley, some in the boiler house. But they all worked very hard, we all pulled together, and I would have to agree with you, for a small community of 800 souls, this is a remarkable achievement.
Long history of Shinty in Strachur. Where does the new pitch take Strachur Shinty Club and the Strachur community? How important is it to moving the village on?
Well, I think it's probably been the most important improvement in the village in my time anyway. The youth of the village, we feel, have got a real chance now to take on, and Shinty, other sports, football, it's on the doorstep, and especially with being adjacent to the primary school, pupils have access to it at any time during the week, and they are very much sports-minded in this area. I mean, Shinty is the main sport, and we hope that with the improved facilities, which I've never experienced before anywhere, this will encourage the youth to take up the sport, and anyone that's interested in any other activities. It should be a good starting point for them.
Willie has put the onus firmly on youth and the new facilities you've got here. The new facilities at Strachur look to me to be as good as anything. I can remember Strachur in a Camanachd Cup final. Is this pitch and the facility now the key to getting the young players of Strachur into that kind of mindset?
Definitely, yeah. We've found since the pitch opened, the kids are actually over every night practising on it, and the pitch we used to have the year before, it was quite an effort to get them to come down here to train and practice. So it's definitely reaping benefits already, yeah.